Yoda.
Hear you, I do. Who are you? My imagination, it must be.
No. It is I, Qui-Gon Jinn.
That cannot be. Dead you are.
No. I am part of the living force, Yoda.
In regards to my latest video describing the most powerful Star Wars character, the Shaman of the Whills, which goes into great depth about who they were, I'd like for you to watch that video as a prequel to this one if you haven't done so already. But, for your convenience, if you're watching this on your TV or phone or something, I will briefly reiterate my research from the last video and into this one pertaining to Snoke's identity. A Shaman of the Whills was a Force user, later called a priestess who had taught Qui-Gon the ability to transcend his consciousness into the Force upon death, and ultimately teaching him how to become a Force ghost. Later passing this knowledge down to Master Yoda and Obi-Wan Kenobi, Qui-Gon was able to direct his teachings to his new Padawans from the other realm, leading to the many times we see Obi-Wan protect Luke in Episode 4 against Vader during the Death Star assault, blocking Vader's missiles while he was tailing Luke, which I have a full video on as well, and in The Empire Strikes Back during Luke's attack by the Wampum in the Sub-Zero climate of Hoth. In my video about the Whills, a comment sparked by Chase, who rose the theory of whether or not Snoke could be a Shaman of the Whills. I didn't want to do another Snoke theory because I feel it's just the craze nowadays on YouTube. Everyone just comes up with some random theory and posts about it with Snoke's face on the thumbnail, and even in the beginning I was guilty of this as well. However, that said, I do feel this theory could be the most legit and most unique one out there. Now, these Shaman are immortal, which explains how Snoke saw the rise and fall of the Republic. The fact that they are essentially the keepers of the entire archive of the Force explains how he knows so much about the characters and the Force as a whole. The theory then goes on to explain that this is why Sidious was looking for Snoke as the source of the dark side, considering a Shaman of the Whills is essentially the Force itself, according to Lucas. We can trace the early drafts of Episode 4 A New Hope, where George Lucas stated was originally an old story told in the Journal of Whills, where he had thought Star Wars should be read by these highly intelligent immortal beings known as the Whills, almost like aliens, who essentially were the Force itself. He later abolished this theory and thought it would be more understandable if he could just call them the Force, and created a side story that paid homage to them through Qui-Gon's travels and ability to become a Force ghost. They were a record of galactic knowledge. The Shaman of the Whills were specifically mentioned in the screenplay of the Star Wars Episode 3 Revenge of the Sith movie, in a now deleted scene that featured the spirit of Qui-Gon Jinn communicating with Yoda. In the scene, which was never filmed unfortunately, Jinn stated that eternal consciousness had been accomplished by a Shaman of the Whills. A cut line from a later scene also had Yoda saying that the path of eternal consciousness was a secret of the ancient order of the Whills. In the final 3 episodes of Clone Wars, titled Voices, Destiny, and Sacrifice, expanded upon how Jinn learned the secret to eternal consciousness and how he passed that knowledge on to Yoda. In the episode, Yoda learns about the secret from the 5 Force-sensitive priestesses, who had also trained Jinn. No mention is made of the Shaman of the Whills. Regardless of this deleted entry, StarWars.com still officially claims Master Qui-Gon as learning his ability from the ancient Shaman of the Whills. So, this is very much canon. The Whills kept a collection of stories called the Journal of the Whills that chronicled the history of the galaxy. A keeper of the Whills was responsible for adding new information into it. One such keeper was told the story of the Skywalker family during the Clone Wars and the Galactic Civil War by the astromech droid R2-D2. This was done 100 years after the Battle of Endor. No one knows what the Shaman looks like, only that he and his collective are the keepers of the galaxy's events, almost like a narrator. Being compared to the Force itself by Lucas gives concrete evidence to establish that they were in fact the most powerful entity in the Star Wars universe. I will also add that in Star Wars Episode 3 screenplay and The Art of Star Wars Episode 3, both have Qui-Gon Jinn stating that he knew of only one shaman who had achieved immortality. However, Qui-Gon also states that in Revenge of the Sith novelization, that immortality is a possible end result for those working with the Whills' teachings. The Whills were neither Jedi nor Sith. They created a balance in the Force, and this I believe could be a precursor to Snoke, as he does not identify as a Jedi or a Sith, rather in between. By choosing Kylo, who is conflicted with the light side and the dark side, he presents a prominent affinity to both sides of the Force, ultimately bringing balance. We know Snoke is extremely old. We know he's very tall and thin looking. So if we compare the two faces, albeit one is a cartoon image and the other a more realistic CGI, we can definitely see the immense resemblance. Add some scarring and some weathering to add a more realistic effect, like one would draw with a police wanted poster of a murderer, and we can see that Snoke could indeed be a Shaman of the Whills, or a priestess, however you want to call it. I think beyond my Darth Maul as Snoke theory, that if Disney is going on something completely new, while paying slight homage to Lucas and the now Disney Clone Wars and Rebels, it would make sense that this could be the only known canon identity of Snoke. With all the theories out there, I don't see how it could be anyone else other than the Shaman of the Whills, or Darth Plagueis. Personally, either one would be very cool. If they stuck to the Dark Empire comics, then maybe we could say that Sidious comes back as a clone and he looks like Snoke, but I really think that theory is far-fetched and not going to happen. What do you think? Do you think Snoke is someone completely new from Disney? Or do you think this very well could hold true for his identity? I guess we'll all find out in a little over a year's time. Until then, we can all enjoy this fun and factual theory and all the other ones that are online. Stay tuned for my next video, which will outline the 6 most powerful Sith. I hope you all enjoyed this episode of Star Wars Theory, and I hope you all have a fantastic day or night, wherever you are in the galaxy watching this. Think deep and judge well, my fellow Jedi and Sith friends, and as always,
may the Force be with you.